Morning tango. Morning tango.
What's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to be breaking down how to make the perfect Dro Kenji type beat. I put an acapella over this and it sounds crazy right now, so I'm going to leave the link down to it in the description. Last thing before we jump into it and let you hear the preview, all the sounds that I used, all the drums that I used are going to be in this drum kit up here. Go and grab them, they are industry sounds that will completely change your music. Okay, so what I have in front of me here is the full FLP of the beat, including the vocals and the automations down here, and I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm not going to waste any of your time. The first thing that I really think helps this become a song is the arrangement, and I'm not on about the overall structure, you know, where we have a chorus, a verse, a pre-hook, a chorus, an outro, that sort of stuff. I mean the little details that you add in between, which is very common for Dro Kenji. I took inspiration from one song called Arsonist, where we have a slight automation on the 808 when it's playing. So if I just play it by itself, you can see where the filter comes in, and it was in the preview. If you go back and listen to the preview, you can hear it at the very end. It just adds a little bit more movement and a bit more texture when it comes into the second part of the chorus, where there should be a lot more energy. It sort of helps bridge that gap. Another thing that I added in the arrangement was a little stutter at the very end of some bars to build some power. So if I just go from the middle of this drum section, you'll be able to hear it. And what that does is when you have the vocals playing, it sort of ends it with a bit more power instead of just having a flat out finish. And the final thing that I added was actually part of the reference that I was using, which was the original song called Arcade, which isn't on the Wish You Were Here album, but it sounds like it could be on it. And in the original song, they chop out the drums in the second part of the chorus, sorry. And I wanted to add a little reverse sweep. So if I just listen to it now. And how I done this was a little bit more complicated than the other ones. It wasn't just automation. I had to drag these drums back and then the melody back, and then I bounced it out just these two little areas, reversed it, and then added a little automation to sweep it in. And when you have the vocals playing and the melody playing, it makes a lot more sense, but when you just have the drums, it does sound a bit odd. Speaking of the original melody, this is one thing that I encourage you to do if you're making a Dro Kenji type beat, and that is to pitch your intro down a semitone from where you're going to have it eventually. If you go through and listen to some of the older Dro Kenji songs, he does this quite commonly. Nick Mira does it a lot with his productions for Dro Kenji, and I'll give you a little bit of an example of what it could sound like. So the actual arrangement of the melody is very simple to do. You have a main piano part, and then the rest is sort of like either basses or surrounding sounds, synths, pads, or whatever. So the areas where you want there to be a piano is where you want there to be a lot of energy, as that is carrying quite a bit of it. You know, it's got a lot of high end and a fair bit of low end in there as well. So you can note here, I have the piano playing throughout almost the entirety of the song. The only bit where it's missing is where I added a filter onto the 808. And I wanted that section to be a little bit more spacious, and just removing the piano was a lot better. But you can see overall it's very repetitive, and that is kind of what a Dro Kenji type beat's like. It is repetitive, but as long as you are making small chops and changes, as you can see, you know, I took out this, I then took out the piano, I then took it out again. I took out two sections here, removed this, and then took out the two sections again. You can see as long as you're making small changes every 4 to 8 bars, you shouldn't be worrying about it getting boring. And the last thing that I think makes this sound like a complete song is the mixing of it. I do have a tutorial of how to mix, but they're more for hard beats, and it didn't have an acapella around it. So if you're making beats around acapellas or want to start doing that with artists that you know, here's a little tip for you. When you're done leveling everything, including the vocals on top of the melody, here's a little trick that can really help you glue it all together, and it's incredibly simple. All you have to do is open up an EQ and then take out a little bit of the mids between 300 and about 6000 hertz. This is where the vocal is largely going to be for most people. If you just take out a little bit of the frequencies around there, you'll be able to notice a bit more of a difference between the vocal sitting on top of the melody and sort of resting in it. And this is a trick that I've used commonly now for the past 3 or 4 months, and it really helps build character and sort of belonging with the vocals. And if you pair it with reverb and delay, you know, give it a little bit more space. Although the vocals were largely mixed anyway, but because it's a dodgy rip, I had to add my own effects to make it sound as original as I could. And then going through every one of the drums and cleaning up the EQ just to make everything sit separately and have its own space in the mix. And panning was a big thing that helped me with the mix, get it right, get it accurate to Dro Kenji. And altogether, it turned out to be one of my favourite productions I've made this year. Like I said, the link to the SoundCloud will be down in the description if you want to go and check the full song out. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to have an issue with copyright or not. Fingers crossed I don't. But it would mean a lot if you could go down there and show some love to it. But yeah, that's everything I have to cover about making a Dro Kenji beat, how to find the balance between emotion and power. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped you in some way. Let me know in the comments if it did. Leave a like and subscribe and all that. And I shall catch you in the next one.